New series here on Good Morning Maryland called Trips That Make Sense, and the goal is to minimize the cost and maximize the fun for your next family trip. This morning, we're going to take you back in time to a lost colonial town in Anne Arundel County called London Town. In its heyday, London Town was a thriving port city off the South River, welcoming travelers and trade from all around the world. And then it all just sort of disappeared. Now this historic site and garden welcomes visitors from near and far to learn about its past and celebrate its future.
Honestly, this is the reason that any of the site exists, is because of the water.
Along the South River lies remnants of a lost colonial town.
We are a bit of a hidden gem.
The story of London Town begins in 1683 when the first settlers arrived on this peninsula.
We were actually older than Annapolis is. We were the original county seat. You had big ships coming in, tobacco market, all sorts of activity going on.
For about 100 years, people from around the world, both free and enslaved, traveled to and through this small yet bustling port city. But once Annapolis and Baltimore began to rise into prominence, London Town started to fade.
The city kind of dwindles, fizzles, and peters out.
One of the town's original structures, the William Brown House, still remains. The brick home was first built around 1760 as a tavern before becoming an almshouse for the homeless in the 1820s.
We have reports of commissioners through the years calling this literally an abode of misery. So not the most heartwarming of places.
From misery comes reemergence. Act 2 of the story of London Town continues when the county closed the almshouse in 1965 and the site began its transformation into a museum and garden.
What we now have is a place that is rediscovering a lost colonial town.
The William Brown House was restored back to its original state as a tavern. Archaeological digs uncovered lost artifacts, now carefully preserved and showcased in the museum.
This is the area that we have somewhat recreated to look like what colonial London Town looked like in the 17th and 18th centuries.
Historical interpreters dressed in period costumes give visitors a hands-on experience of how London Town residents would have prepared their food, written letters to loved ones, and made all their clothing.
There were real people who were living here, and we want to get families to have as interactive as an experience as possible.
The reconstructed carpenter shop is filled with the very tools that would have been used to build it.
And so being able to even just sit in the carpenter shop and look at the ground at the nails that were made by hand, that had to be hammered in by hand, really gives people that appreciation for what they have now as a modern convenience.
Another special feature of the grounds, the 10 acres of woodland and ornamental gardens designed in the 1960s and 70s, filled with a variety of flowers and trees.
Being under this canopy of trees is just richly rewarding to escape from the humdrum of life.
The lush and colorful landscape, surrounded by the water that sustained a historic town for 100 years, ever changing, ever evolving, while also serving as a reminder of the past. Town and Gardens is open on Wednesdays through Sundays from 10 until 4. Now, the admission price does varies from $10 for adults to children under 3 who are free. By the way, this Saturday and Sunday, they're going to have a special event called Revolutionary London Town to show visitors what it was like for the people of the town to experience the Revolutionary War in 1776. And if you have a great place that we could feature on our next Trips That Make Sense, please let us know. You can send us an email to storyideas@wmar.com, and you could see it right here on Good Morning Maryland. So get to take a little trip back in time, try your hand there at, whittling some wood or muddling some dried herbs there. There were no machines back then, so you literally had to do everything by hand.
I wonder if it's like St. Mary's where they'll let you sit there and kind of churn butter to see if you can
if
last.
you want to get your arm workout in there.
But yeah, no, it's, I think it sounds like fun.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'd actually want to live in that time period.
Right, you'd try it out for a little bit and then be like.
Right, exactly.